That's a tough one to swallow, Luke, especially with what you produced in the first half. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, it is. We know that they're a good side, Brisbane, and we played well in that first half. You know, we've had most things in our favour. All the things that we talked about pre-game that were going to be important for us to beat them, and the things that we needed to do well to take their game off them a little bit. There were some really strong indicators. But yeah, and then we talked about half time, how there are no rewards yet, because we knew that they were going to come out maybe with a new vigour. And so unfortunately, yeah, they got on top at stoppage. Some sort of back end turnovers from us fueled some momentum for them, and then yeah, we probably just couldn't go with them as the game went on. So it was pleasing just to come again. You know, I thought Matt Kennedy was complicit in that last quarter, just to give us a bit of a sniff again. You know, if Joel Frazier kicks that goal in front again, and so that's encouraging that we could hang in there. But yeah, just probably the scope to cover ground as the game went on, and yeah, they got on top at the contest, in particular the stoppage side of it. And that was a strong origin of our momentum in the first half, so they took that away from us. So credit to the Lions. It's a shame in many ways, but there's some positives to be taken out of it.
In the third quarter, you had 2 or 3 shots on goal that you were kicking in the first half. That could have steadied you, maybe, just sort of blunted the Lions' momentum a bit. How much do you think that hurt you, just in the context of what happened in the last quarter?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I felt like in the first quarter we had enough of the play, and we missed some chances in the first quarter. And then the second quarter, through maybe getting better looks, we started to convert. Some good snaps and some live ball that we turned into goals, and it's encouraging. Our sort of front and centre work at the big men at their feet was better than it had been. So yeah, look, I think in the scheme of things and the game in totality, it matters. But I really thought that at the start of the third quarter it was that back third, the turnover stuff that we didn't need to fuel the Brisbane Lions game again, and they just got a bit of a spring in their step from that, and it was difficult to arrest.
What's the update on Harms? We saw he was in a moon boot there, and I guess, is there any sort of frustration in having to use that early sub, and do you think it maybe had an impact on the outcome?
Yeah, it matters, because when the kids are playing their first handful of games, obviously Heinzie debuted tonight, and Joshy Dolan was our sub. He hasn't played a lot of footy. You're relying on, especially against a seasoned team like the Lions, you're relying on your experience to play 4 quarters of pretty sturdy football. So to lose someone of James's proficiency and his experience, maybe that was part of what told in the end for us. But the kids aren't quite ready to see the game out against a team like the Lions. But I think we had enough experience around other areas that just couldn't quite get it done. So that mattered. Harmsy's got a crook foot. We'll give you some detail on what that is. But ultimately, the Lions are just I think they kicked something like 15 goals or 14 or 15 goals in the last half from 20, high 20, inside 50s. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. So how did they happen? They won contest in space. We turned over some chances, or they spat out of congestion with their high forwards and their inside mids a bit too well. So and as the fatigue kicked in, they came over the top.
Speaking of fatigue, did Freo and the heat over in Perth last week catch up with you? Do you think in that second half?
I don't like to make excuses. Never make excuses. The comp is what it is. Everyone knows it's been unusual that, there hasn't been a game that hasn't been played in fairly warm conditions. Even our 2 Marvel games under the roof have been days when it's been, in the early to mid 30s, and so we actually go to Darwin in about 3 or 4 rounds. So in theory, it's preparing us to play in Darwin.